Welcome to the final week of Just Joshing for the year. I am your host, Joshua Pentelaresco. I write stuff in podcasts too, and today, this is going to be kind of a special little stream. This is going to actually be the first of two. So, Mandy, I have a confession I have to make to you.
Okay.
With all the crazy names I've had booked the last month, right? Everything kind of just fell through the crack. So
Right.
so I feel like I messed up, but on the other hand, it created a very unique opportunity for me. So I'm going to take
Sure.
advantage of it. So you were the
Okay.
first of two guests tonight. So
Okay.
oopsies, but that's okay. That's on me, and that's my fault. And I'm big enough man to acknowledge all this going up front. But this is the one and only amazing Mandy Eve. Oh man, I screwed up already. Mandy Eve Barnett. And
Correct.
so I really feel bad about that because my name is Josh Pentelresto. So when I screw up, I mean people screw up my name, but I kind of always feel like I have like this extra pressure not to screw up anybody else's. I don't know if
Sure.
that's realistic or not, but that's generally what happens. But how are you
Okay.
today?
I'm really good today.
What, what what
So,
what evil deeds were you up to today?
day job today.
Day job today.
Yeah.
So what's your evil day job?
Just chasing money. It's really
Chasing money.
boring.
Very boring.
Yes.
So, so,
They've
so,
decided that we're going to alternate person being in the office alone every 3 weeks. So it means that I'm in there um, 1 week and then I'm out working remotely 2 weeks. It's most bizarre.
right, fair enough, fair enough. So you're kind of like in this weird place by yourself. Hey,
Yeah.
going now is here. Hey, Joe, it's okay. Mine or Mandy? I gotta ask, is mine or Mandy? Which name do you screw up? I mean, mine is easy to screw up. Yeah. So I mean, that's what I feel stressed with Mandy. So it sounds like you got kind of like It sounds like you got okay. So I thought so. I just figured it makes sense. Mine. But it's my name. Can I say? But I thought that in regards to this is a strange time, is it not? I mean, just in general.
It is. I think a lot of people, if you don't have something, creative or a hobby, you're finding it really difficult because you're using normal sort of social gatherings as your um, outlet. And if you haven't got a creative outlet, it's really difficult to cope with, not being able to do your normal stuff. I mean, I'm lucky because I'm more than happy just to sit and write. So,
Yeah, so for some of this isn't really like the big giant impact that
yeah.
could have been. For me, it was weird because I was going to quit my job anyway and
Right.
writing full time.
Uh huh.
And the world decided to go, hey, listen, the world had to end, and the world needed to end, and for whatever reason, it was like, okay, well, if there's ever a time to jump, now's the time because in all this chaos,
Yeah.
who's gonna
Yeah.
notice, right? And
Yeah.
that's been my like you've seen what I've been up to, it's been. I figure why not? Like this is the time. This is the time where it's like if you really want to do something different,
Exactly.
yeah, this is
Give
the
it a go. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, look
Yeah.
around you. It's like we got this weird like George Orwellian like thing going on right now, and
Uh-huh.
everybody's okay with it, which is kind of weird. But
Yeah.
that's where we're at today, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping to see if we're there. I'm hoping tomorrow we wake up and we're like in like some kind of like Walt Disney paradise next time. Maybe
That
we
would be nice.
maybe we do the It's a Small World After All. That
Yeah.
would be that would be like no mate,
Yeah.
I won't sing the song on the air because I would probably break some screw it. Let's do it. It's a small world after all. I mean, I mean,
Hmm.
that's where
Oh
we're at.
well.
Right? So I mean, it's
Yeah.
a weird time. and I figured I go for it. So for you, you just went, I'm going to write books,
Yeah.
and but oh, I broke Joe's brain. Is it in your head, Joe? If not, I can sing it some more. But it's one of those things where this is the time to do and try something different. I tried lots of different
Yeah.
things. So how about you? What did you try? What have you been working on?
Well, I finished and published my ninth novel in September. So there's, thank you. So I've done lots of promotion and, sort of thanking people for reviews and all that sort of stuff. But I also did National Novel Writing Month. I've done it for 10 years now. And about a month and a half before November, I had no idea what I was going to do. I'm thinking, okay, I'll skip a year. And then this idea popped in my head for a detective crime series. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, where did that come from? So now I've got 3 books I've got to write for that series. So I sort of, obviously in Nano, I did a big chunk. I did 50,000+ words. And now I've got to sort of add to it, and then I'll leave it for a month and I'll do the editing, the revision and everything. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've noticed this. Like everybody likes writing a good detective book. Like that's something I've actually
Yeah.
with a lot of people. It's like they're kind of fun, aren't they?
They are. I mean, it's the first one I've ever done. I mean, I've read them, but I've never actually written one. And I thought, well, okay, well, I'll look at it and see, you know, how others write theirs. And I mean, everyone's got a different idea of how to write them. So no matter how you do yours, it's okay. There isn't like a formula, like, the romance ones where there's a formula. So I thought, well, okay, I'll go for it. And so this sort of idea popped in my head. So it'll be set in Alberta, but in 3 different cities, and it's following the culprit basically across these 3 cities. So it entails 3 different detectives in each city chasing the same person, but not knowing they're chasing the same person.
That could be interesting because
Yeah.
first and foremost, going in now, congratulations on publishing the book.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joseph, congrats. So, you have anything you'd like to say to Joe real quick before I
Thank you.
respond? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second part about it is, it's interesting because to me, right, that's a game of that's 3 different detectives.
Mm.
3 some similar things, but also different. Not like that's the thing. That's the thing about like a story like that is the culprit would be a different person in the head of each detective. Like,
Oh yes, yeah, because of how they work and how they think and how
absolutely.
they process. It's a different thing. So obviously, I'm going to have the first 2 books will be you're getting to know them and what they're doing and the actual case. But you're also going to get hints as to the identity of the culprit, but not actually know that person.
So
In
in all 3 books, is that
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
literally the culprit still like completely
yeah.
mystery.
I mean, they're obviously they're going to get close, but not realise they're close, right?
Okay.
Because that's how you do a detective.
Interesting.
Yeah, it has to sort of it gets tantalising, and then you think they're going to find them, and then they don't. Right? So.
So I'm gonna talk about some of my favorite mystery stuff, and some of them
Mm-hmm.
always gonna surprise you. It's actually a video game. It's called Persona 4. Persona
Mm-hmm.
4 is literally about it's the equivalent of the Scooby Doo gang chasing a real serial killer. and and it's done actually really well. All the story has these outlandish parts to it for sure, but
Okay.
the basic details of the killer, who it was, why they did it, everything along those lines,
Right.
right? The trick with when you, because I always look at a detective novel kind of like a game, because the audience, the hook is you kind of want to figure out who did it, who done it, why,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That's the hook.
Mm.
But
Mm.
then it's a case. I would imagine, like for me, just looking at this based on just thinking about this, just based on how you constructed this,
Mm-hmm.
the challenge you have is the I don't know if I could keep the killer's identity for 3 books. It can be done. I mean,
Mm.
my favorite kill of all time was in a fantasy book, and it was Asmodee and the Wheel of Time. Uh,
Okay.
it was a big a big mystery. No one knew who killed him. There was enough clues there. One person figured it out.
Right.
There was enough
Yeah.
to figure it out, but it was very very overt. Like you didn't figure you didn't find if you didn't realize it.
Yeah.
It missed a lot of people missed it. So many people actually missed it that like you could have done it. Like, it was one of the biggest whodunits of the whole series, but it was an
Mm.
unintentional one. This one, it's all about the game of catching a crook, and you got 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
How do you hide? Like, I mean, part of the way you're hiding it is because you have 3 different detectives. So it's almost like the
Mm.
killer is actually 3 different characters. Does that make sense?
It does, yes, because the the culprit has an agenda which they will not guess. All they know is that colleagues are dying, but they don't know who's killing them. So yeah.
So then, okay, so beyond the thriller part of it, then I'm going to ask this:
Mm.
um, Is there? How do I put this? Is this more? Is this deal with more of the like? I'm assuming they're killing people that are close to these guys.
No,
No, just
no.
this particular, but there's a particular agenda, like a path. But
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the culprit has a reason for
killing
murdering
people.
these particular detectives.
Are,
You know,
are
it's
okay.
not. It's not. You won't know why um, specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a hidden agenda.
Okay. Okay. So your previous writing, did it help?
Yeah.
Did it help you with this? Like, because I mean, nothing.
Well, the thing is, I write the story, so I don't write to a genre. I mean, I do children's, young adult, and adult, and I write the story and figure out who it's for as I'm writing it because of how it develops. Um, so if it's like gentle and there's little fuzzies in it, then it's obviously for a kid, right? If it's got a message in it and it's high adventure, then it's young adult. An adult obviously can go in any direction whatsoever. So I mean, my last one was steampunk, only because it developed from a short story which was only about 8,000 words, and it was going to go into an anthology, and then that just did not happen. So I thought, well, I'll just make it into a novella and write up to the point of the short story and after, but it got its own life and carried on. So it's about 80,000 words. So
I see. I see.
yeah,
I see.
and that, funnily enough, the actual short story main character is sort of not really. He's a secondary character in the novel. He's not the main character. The main character just started, you know, how some characters like, I need you to talk about me, you know, in your ear. So she became the main protagonist.
Okay. So I guess for you, then you're more like a conduit. Like you're not
Yeah.
necessarily going after a particular genre or formula.
No.
Although I'm sure if I read your stuff and I got to know you a bit better, I probably would teach you throughout each book.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is, it sounds to me like um, you have a concept, you get yourself a concept pretty much nailed down, and you kind of just go however comfortable. Um, I'll answer those questions in a second. But what I was going to say is, it sounds to me like you're a yeah, you're a pantser more than say a plotter. Is that accurate or is
Yes, I mean, I've always done a free flow writing, but now I've got this series, I've had to think about the whole series together and the three books and what's going to link them and who does what and what carries over to the next book and what happens for the next book. So I've had to do some plotting, and I've also had to do planning as to not just the arcs in the separate books, but the arch across the series. So that was a new technique for me, which I found quite interesting. Yeah.
so? Are you now? So I can just call you a planter now, a plotter and a pantser together.
Well, yeah,
I
I
call
think that's the fun of writing, though. You're always learning. You're always finding something new.
absolutely.
So it's nice to think, okay, I can do this. I thought I could only write this way, but now I know I can write a different way.
Are you better? Do you think you're a better writer now than when you started?
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh crikey.
Thank you.
I mean, my first nano, oh goodness, 2009. I was persuaded by some people in my writing group that I could actually write it, and I go, okay, just just remember that, you know, I'm a new writer. I started quite, you know, um, quite later on in life. Let's put it that way. And then they said, you know, you could do this. And I said, well, how many actual words have you written? I said, well, you know, maybe 1,200. If I was really lucky, I'd, you know, something flowed. So when they told me it was 50,000 words in the month of November, I was like incredibly tense and thinking, there's no way I'm ever going to do that. So, I mean, the result of that was a novel, but I did not do anything with it apart from go back to it every single year um, until year before last, um, revising it and editing it and rereading it, and because I didn't feel it was good enough. And over the incoming years, you know, I found that I had developed as a writer, um, so I knew what I was doing. So it went through an awful lot of revision before I was happy enough to publish it.
Huh. So, are you nervous? I'm just that guy.
Oh no, no,
Yeah.
because I'm just reading that. So someone's asked me about the steampunk.
Well, no. Yeah. It's written in third or multiple first person. The detective
Multiple
series.
first.
The detective series.
Oh right, the detective series. It will be written as from the detective's point of view.
So first and
So
third.
well, it's third person, um, because I have to incorporate other people because I've got witnesses and obviously suspects and the detective and their partner and the chief. So it's a multiple personality. Um, so it's multiple really.
Okay. No, 'cause first person definitely does have its challenges. Although
Yeah.
it would be interesting to do this in first person, because I think the temptation for me on that one would be, like I said, for me personally, I have this idea of what the killer would be for each of them. They would all have a different imagination of what the killer was,
Sure.
right? And as a result of
Yeah.
that, it would be such a different concept of, I would be playing. That would be a very tempting space for me to play with, because the imagination of something would be
Sure.
very different than,
Mm.
hey Jake, how you doing? Right? Another person just arrived here. That's cool. But no, the thing about that with me is I just see the idea of I would just like, that would really, really, really tempt me. It would be playing with the idea of, um, the image of it would just really make it go kind of like, um, that for me would be good, because the imagination of like the monster and any
Sure.
that would be how I would tell that story, I think.
Okay.
Right? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's
Yeah.
how I would do it.
Okay.
For you, okay, although it's about three detectives catching a killer. What
Hmm.
drew you to that? Like, why these three?
Because I knew that I wanted links to the murders across um, three cities. So you couldn't have the same detective doing the investigation because it's three separate cities, right? And I mean the culprit is literally traveling, so she can find these people.
Yeah. So Jack just says you're a mystery author. Yes, he's also an author of many other things. Yes.
Yes, yeah,
People are walking. This is the way this stream goes. But
yeah.
it sounds to me, you were looking like from like a plausible reason to have three. Like, it was just more applause. We didn't want it to be a vendetta kind of story. You wanted it to be something maybe a little more.
No, I mean the thing is that the culprit has a reason that she wants to do what she's doing. Um, she does a lot of serious investigation how she can actually murder them without getting caught and without anyone realizing how they died.
Mhm.
Uh, which meant that obviously I was doing lots of googling because I had to find something that isn't traceable.
Well, there's a few things. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
there are, yeah, but I want.
there are a few
There
things.
was,
It would depend on the killer. You know,
yeah, yeah,
it would depend. It would depend on the killer's proclivities. Like, um, sometimes it really isn't about the crime itself. It's more about proving someone actually did that. That's sometimes the real.
yeah.
That's sometimes the real challenge when you do something like that. Um, you got
Which,
to.
but then if you've got someone that is reasonably healthy
Mhm.
and they die unexpectedly, and the autopsy doesn't show anything, there's no physical injuries, there's no traceable toxins. Why are they dead? Right?
It's an interesting start. Like, I can think of a couple. Like, I know things. So we won't go in there. If I wanted to be a criminal, I'd be, anyway,
Uh huh.
I digress.
Yeah.
Um, um, but it's one of those things where it's just like this. I always tend to feel like when you come up with someone who's doing something, like sometimes there's it's a lot to do with the character's personality, and also
Yeah.
sometimes and psychologically speaking, sometimes killers just want to be caught, and right, and sometimes their own personality kind of gives away what they do, how they do. It's again, going back to something I said earlier. It's kind of like a game.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like a game. So
It
that
is.
that yeah. So when you are through this writing these three books, when you go back to
Mm-hmm.
whatever else, are you going to keep this, like, whatever method you came up with here, are you going to keep it, or will it expand and grow and do other things?
Like I said before, I just go with the stories. Funnily enough, a while back I wrote a small novella, and it was set in medieval England. It was following a troubadour, a storyteller, and I published it, and I was happy with that. But then I got so many people saying, "Where's the next one?" I hadn't planned to do a next one, but after a while, I'm thinking, okay, so many people ask me, I thought I have to do another one. So then I'm thinking, how do I do another one when I hadn't planned on elaborating on the first one? So then I found a way of twisting it. So the second book, so the second book is a similar setting but different. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Okay. So you answer that problem. See, I've learned this now. Just from my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
Always plan a sequel, or at least a place you can go for a sequel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you never know. Like here's the thing, right? You look at the worst nightmare for a writer sometimes is to have a hit with something they have nowhere else to go. Right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's the worst nightmare. I mentioned this in another podcast. Like Orson Scott Card, whatever you think of him as a person. Fact of the matter is, how many Ender books has he done? And
Right.
he's doing them because he gets paid an awful lot of money to do those
Yeah.
books, right?
Yeah.
But there comes the point, right? Really,
Mhm.
and I've said this in like when you get like Ender's Game and Speaker of the Dead is Ender's story. You really don't need to read anything else.
Yeah.
But he's caught. He's made an incredibly successful series, and the publisher's going, "We will give you money if you will do this."
Sure.
And that's kind of the thing, right? So that's kind of how it's happened. That's kind of what happens. Now I learned a lesson. I learned a very valuable lesson. Every book I have now.
Right.
Some books I may not want to go back to tell another story.
Sure.
Right. That's entirely a choice thing.
Yeah.
But I could, and that's really the point. Is I could, right? Hey, Chad, how you doing? Right. But that's the thing, right? That's the drive, and that's the goal. Is you have to recognize the fact that any one of your books, you never know when that one hit will happen.
Sure.
And if it does,
yeah.
You better come out have a plan B and C, because the publisher, like the publishing world or the movie world, say, hey, you know what? You need more of this book.
Yeah.
But
No.
it's one and done, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
How the hell am I going to top this?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just something I've learned in the back of my mind. Like every book series I have, there's room to go in other places.
Okay.
Even the series I finished, there's other spots for me to go.
Right.
I'm not necessarily going to go there ever, but in my head, I know deep down that this can go here.
Yeah.
And if I really, really want to, that doesn't mean necessarily I use the same characters or the same settings. It's just this is where the story naturally goes. So let's just it's in my head. It's a thought, and I lock it. Sometimes I go like this. Okay, I got the thought. I'm gonna shut the door, lock it, and keep it completely gone. I know it's there. If I need to call on it, I'll do it.
Sure.
If I don't, now eventually I am going to run out of ideas.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like I charge more money, because if I'm going to sync up the joint completely, I want to get my payday and then get out the door as fast as I can.
Of course.
That might be a terrible way to think about this, but that's my way of thinking about this.
Yeah.
I hit that point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I just enjoy writing the stories, and people say, you'd be rich and famous. I said, well, you could be rich and famous, but for me, my stories are my legacy. They will carry on after me. So that's my main objective. I don't want to be, okay, if you want to be Stephen King or J.K., fine, go for it. But if you think of how many millions of books are put out every year, the chance is slim.
That is one way of looking at it. I have a very interesting counter argument to that. And
Okay.
so here's my counter argument. You were born. And the odds of you, like, depending on how you look at it, one way you're looking at the odds of you being born, some people will say it's 3 to 1. Another way of looking at it is it's 64 billion to 1. And, you know, the odds, right, in human history, it takes 250 billion people to find someone exactly like you. So,
Well, true. Yeah.
right, so if you've already kind of beaten those odds already once, you're here. So I kind of look at it kind of like, you know, 1,000,000 to 1 doesn't seem so bad when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm an optimist, and that's just how I see things, and I could that is totally that's totally me. I tend to look at things from the point of view that why can't it be me? That doesn't necessarily.
Oh, sure. I mean, it would be lovely, and
Yeah.
but that's not why I write. It's not my
No.
main concern. I enjoy creating. That's
and honestly, that's the best reason to write. Like, to be very honest with you, like, you write, like, if we're being very honest, we're writing for 2 reasons. We write because we have something to say, and we write because we enjoy what we do. Those are the best 2 reasons to be creative.
Oh, they are.
Yeah,
exactly.
right. And I think the best. Now, again, making it as a living, as a goal. I mean, that may not be that. Although at 9 books, I imagine that is somewhat of a goal for you at that point.
Oh yeah.
It kind of is. But it's not necessarily why you start. But if you keep at it long enough, like, that is the goal, and you do treat it like a job, and you do treat it like there are possibilities. And I think the cool thing is there's a path to being a bestseller. There's a path to. I think there's, if you want to pursue a path a certain way, that's one thing. There's a path to being a hit. That's a lot harder. Because no one can control when a hit's going to come from. I look at Harry Potter. No one in a million years could have predicted that it would blow up that big, or the Hunger Games, or or Twilight, or any book that really, really takes off. You never have any say or control over. You don't know when something is like hits, but what you can do is like go, okay, how do I get myself, like, I almost look at it from this, how can I create myself the best opportunity I can, which is why you're on shows like this. You want to get you're like, I'm Mandy Eve Barnett, and I'm awesome, and here I am, and here we go, here I come, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why not, right? I mean, most of us, I think, sell ourselves short on just, you've done 9 books. That's freaking awesome, right? You've done it on a variety of genres. And you love what you do. And I'm going to ask a really, really, really good question. I think I always ask people about this, but I mean, where you can go, who can say, right? And who can really say? I don't know about this. I've never been a big fan of realistic. Every time I hear I'm a realist, I kind of just, there's a big part of me that kind of cringes on the inside, because I have no idea what real is at this point. I've never seen real in my life once, and I go define it, and there's this big giant shrug because I don't know. Right? So I mean, and I'm being honest, like, I've never, like life. Friday night, I was literally drawing with somebody that drew Batman for a living on this show. Like, they drew out Batman for a living in an animation studio. Right. I never would have imagined I'd do that. Like, I didn't even think I really drew well, but it doesn't matter. Here I was drawing Alice in Wonderland stuff, related stuff on the air with somebody that actually draws for a living for Warner Brothers. And it's like, bam. And then the week before that, someone that worked, and someone did Game of Thrones.
I think I think creativity in any form is good for your soul. I think that's it. It just makes life more enjoyable.
I think creation's an act of joy. Like
Yeah.
it truly is an act of joy. It's
Yeah.
not the idea. Like heck, even something as simple as cooking. I love cooking. It's one of
Hmm.
those things where you can just relax, and yet
Yeah.
even though it's not, I'm not a chef per se. There's something to
Hmm.
be said about that preparation and that creation of something from whatever materials you had. That's a meal.
Hmm.
Most of the time, it's
Yeah.
good. Right?
Yeah.
Right. I actually agree with you. Said persistence and tenacity is the special
Yeah.
sauce to success. That's totally true. That is the absolute
Yeah.
truth. Um, I have 8 rules to success, and rule 3 is don't quit. So, but
Exactly.
yeah, but but
Yeah.
here's what I was going to ask you, because you took a great joy, and you discovered stories a long time ago,
Hmm.
right? What was your story? What was the story that said to you, "I can do this," or "I want to do this"? What story made you go, "Yes"?
Well, bizarrely, I mean, I didn't start writing till I came to Canada from England. And I've always been creative of pottery and textiles and painting and everything you can think of. The only thing I never tried was writing. Um, so when we came here, I thought, okay, I've got to find something creative for me. And I happened upon a writing group. Went to the first meeting and I was immediately hooked. Went back the following month and I listened to all the stories and it's great. And then eventually thought, if I'm in a writing group, I should be writing. So I just used a prompt and it was very short, like, I don't know, I suppose maybe 15, 16 sentences. Very, very short. There was a twist at the end. And I read it and the room went quiet. So then I'm thinking, okay, I'm not coming back. I'm obviously really bad at this. And then they exploded and went, oh my God. You know, they weren't expecting the end. And that hooked me, completely and utterly hooked me because I got that reaction. And I'm thinking, I like this. I like the fact I got a reaction from doing just a short story, right? And I'm known for putting things on the head. I don't go down the normal avenues and people, think, oh well, I saw that coming on, halfway through the book. Because I don't do that. I always go in directions you're not expecting. Let's put it that.
Well, but that's the challenge, right? Like
Yeah.
every story has to be told. So the real challenge with when you tell a story is
Mm.
do it in a way that no one expects. Like
Yeah.
I always use the Matrix as a great example of this, in terms of the fact that the ending, how they actually created the expectation of the ending, which was the
Hmm.
Oracle looking at Neo going, "You're waiting for something, kid." And it goes, "What? Your
Yeah.
next life, maybe. Who knows?" And at the end, he dies and comes back to life, and you're like, "Oh, you died."
Wow.
That was brilliant. It was totally brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. Like good stories, if they're really,
Hmm.
really, really well crafted, tend to actually build the expectations inside and deliver.
Exactly.
What the challenge is, can you do it in a way? Can you do it in a way that actually uh, surprises the reader, gives them joy, or creates a feeling when doing so,
Of
um,
course. Yeah.
right? You can tell a story very logically to its most logical conclusion, and it can still be very satisfying. It's just all right. Sometimes predictable is actually the way to go, but
Yeah.
it's not about the path you choose. It's the feelings you create in telling that story.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So.
mean, you need your reader to think, okay, I've got to have another chapter. Because if they don't turn the page, you've lost them.
Mhm.
So you need to sort of give them something to go for, to think about, and okay, I'll just do another page. I'll just do another page. That's what we want, right?
that so I'm just reading Joe's response. It's very similar in how I got hooked. Except you got the audience to curse at him. Joe, you find love in strange ways. I'm sad to say, but you do. You find love in strange ways. But that all said, no, I mean that's the that, but that's what you go for, right?
Sure.
You're trying to create. That's what we're doing. Like we everything we do is story. Like it doesn't really matter. Like the advertisement for stories, the news tells stories,
Yeah.
books tell stories, everything tells stories.
Sure.
So the challenge we have, no matter what kind of creator we are, is to get people to buy into our stories, what we're telling, whatever
Yeah.
that is. I'm writing about killer cupcakes in one story. I'm killing dragons in another story.
Sure.
I'm playing croquet in the labyrinth in another story, and
Yeah.
like none of that really matters. But like that's just me having fun. What matters though is what am I saying? What am I conveying in those stories, right? And I
Yeah.
think, right, the Dragon Slayer is about redemption. The croquet game an odd quest, but a very fun one. Um,
Mm.
and the cupcake thing is, believe it or not, is about coming. It's the exploit of coming out of someone's comfort zone in different ways. It's just one of those. I
Sweet.
I have fun. That's just how it is. I have fun,
Yeah.
and everybody listening to this right now or watching this is probably wondering what the fuck is he doing with a giant testicle? I don't know. All right, but that's the thing, right? The the
Yeah.
the, the thing about the thing about again, ultimately you can use any path you want, and it can be the most predictable path. The goal is
Mm.
to create a response. So
Oh, sure.
yeah, um, but so I gotta guess. I'm gonna ask this then. What's your hardest reaction? What's the hardest reaction you get in an audience? Like, what's the one you would love to get that's really, really hard for you to get?
Good question. Um, I I think because I've written in such a varied genres, you you have to think about what a reader that likes that genre um, is expecting, and then find something that will give them a surprise and make them question what you've written and how they're understanding the story. I think that's the hard part. You have to make sure that they're engaged, but also that they're going to question where the story's going, who's doing something within it. I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, I'll let you in on my dirty secret. This is what I go for. Um, um, that's an interesting one, Chad. You're going for fear. Fear is interesting. I would argue that the hardest thing to create in a story is pure joy. Right?
Yeah,
That's the hardest thing. Um, uh, and everybody should read Chad's quote here in my Twitch channel right now. I recognize terror defines emotion, so I will try to terrorize the reader. But if I cannot terrify, I will try to horrify. All right, but
yeah,
it's joy. Joy is the hardest. So what I'm going for, because I'm not good
yeah.
at it, like consistent joy is right now still something I'm working on.
Mhm.
Right, I'm trying to surprise, make you laugh, and make you think.
Oh, cool.
That,
Okay.
like those are like when I write something, that's what I'm going for in that order. If I make you laugh, um, uh, the secret to comedy is actually comedy is very. There's a
It is
formula.
very hard.
It's very hard, but there is a formula to it. It's music. It's much like music. You find the rhythm, you find
Right.
the rhythm, and you can make people laugh. Look, I've
Yeah.
cracked you up. I've cracked you up. I'm plenty of times in this episode, and I haven't even been trying that hard. So I mean, that's just right. The,
Sure.
the secret, like that's the thing. Like this is who I'm comfortable being. That's what I'm going to project onto the page.
Right.
Joy is super hard because joy is such a rare and precious thing. Because to me,
Mhm.
I think it's not even happiness. happiness, you can be happy and elated in a moment. Everybody knows what it feels like to feel triumphant.
Yeah.
But okay, Will Wheaton's one of my, believe it or not, one of my favorite writers. When his blog is really, really good, he writes joy. That's what he writes. He writes about things he feels with his son, and it's not corny, it's not cheesy, right? Occasional dad joke, but that's okay. That seems to be a cult these days. These dad
Uh-huh.
jokes, right? But but he's talking about the joys he's had with his life experiences, and to do
Oh,
that in a
cool.
way that's engaging, that doesn't make the
Mm-hmm.
person go, that doesn't make a person go, "Oh my God, this is so sappy and cheesy," because that's the hard part, right?
It
That's what
is,
is
yeah.
so very hard because yeah, there's that point where it's like, yeah, this is mushy. That's why you like romance, like a love story, a good love story. They're
Yeah.
so good that they're so addicting because there's that temptation. Because the line between amazing love story and Attack of the Clones is
Yeah.
basically like the dialogue hurt me listening to it because it didn't sound real, right? It very much so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very much like in terms of love story. That's why love story was a good one. Is amazing. They're the ones. They're the
Okay.
things like that's why Romeo and Juliet, as strange as it is, as carried on for generation after generation, it's a love story that people understand, people get. It's family violence,
Yeah.
it's two people finding love in spite of the circumstances around each other, which kind of
Mm-hmm.
creates a nice little underdog feel and be that crazy in love thing. We've
Yeah.
all been there. We've all been there, and that's a very it's very human, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel contrived. Other than maybe the ending, right? Other than
Yeah.
maybe the ending, it doesn't feel that contrived. It feels like something that could genuinely just happen,
Happen.
and
Yeah.
right, and that's why it works, um,
Sure.
right? So that's like for me, right? The feeling, like so again, I'm not good enough to do that lovey. I'm just not there, and I know I'm not there, right? Right. So, um, right. What where I am at is I can make you think. I can
Mm.
distract you. I can surprise you. I can make you laugh. I can make you
Yeah.
cry. Right. I know how to do those things. Right. Um, yes. That is that's a very interesting point, though, Wendy. Now with absurdities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, taste is the challenge in comedy. Like everybody. But for me, here's my comedy example of a really good comedian that people take for granted. Peter Parker. Spider-Man
Okay.
always cracks jokes when he's fighting crime. Here's the thing: not all of it because he's nervous, he's scared, and so he's cracking jokes to keep himself awake and alert and keep himself sane, so not thinking about the crazy crap he's doing right now, right?
Yeah.
Now here's the thing
Yeah.
about Spider-Man. The reason why that works is it's really good. Not all of his jokes are funny. In fact, some of them are bad.
Oh God.
No, it's true. That's true. If you read his dialogue, right,
Oh
some of them are
wow.
actually really bad. They can be bad. The point is, right? It's like when you tell a story. You tell really, really good jokes. People did like get flatline, what you want to be
Yeah.
like a roller coaster. You feel that fun? Ha
Yeah.
ha ha! Ha ha
Yeah.
ha! Ha.
Yeah.
Eventually, people are just into the ride, right? It's like a roller coaster.
Sure.
It's going up and down, up and
Yeah.
down until you get
Yeah.
to that wonderful point.
Yeah.
You got people, you got everybody. It doesn't matter. And then eventually, people are laughing at your bad jokes too, because
Yeah.
they've gotten caught into the laughter. And once you start laughing, you can't stop. Terry Pratchett's
Yeah.
great at that.
Sure.
Terry Pratchett's great at that. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
cool.
re-ask this question now. What are the emotions you were trying to convey in the story?
Um. Okay. I'll go through all of them. Um. I do have things that I think make people cringe in some of my books, and they just think, "Ooh,
Did I
that's not a nice thing. It's not. Oh, you know, but then I've got the exact opposite. I've got people think, well, I'm glad, you know, that happened to that person because they deserved it. So I've got the, you know, from one extreme to the other, I've got people going, that was really not not a nice thing, and I've got the other extreme that, yeah, that wasn't nice, and yeah. But I try not to be, as you said before, I don't have sappy romance. Most of my books, although there might be a love interest in it, that isn't the primary point of the story.
Okay.
The primary point is the adventure or um, the journey. It's not, you know, it just happens to, you know, it happens. You know,
Okay.
it's secondary.
Well,
So I don't toy myself as a romance author because I'm not.
so is it like me that you acknowledge that you're just not ready? I'm not mature enough to tell that story yet. Maybe one day when I'm old enough, I'll finally figure this out.
Well, I mean,
Or
I don't. I mean, the thing, bizarrely, I mean, obviously, when I was still learning quite early on, I I thought, well, I'll write a romance, you know, because I haven't done one. So I got the formula, you know, and it's the first 2,500 words you've got to have all this information in, and the next 2,500 words you've got to get this information in, and I could not do it. It was like, this is ridiculous. I can't write like this. It just is so restrictive. So I threw that away and did it my way. I was so much happier.
yeah, fair enough.
So, you know,
Yep.
yeah. Anyway.
So, well, no, but I mean, you got. I mean, that's again, ultimately, the big thing we bring to our stories is ourselves. Like that's the thing we bring.
Yeah,
Again, every story has been told. It's how we tell it. That's what makes it. And the thing is,
exactly.
there's only one Mandy Eve Barnett. I
Yeah,
can't do what you do. I can't see the world the way you see it. I can't tell the story the way you tell the story.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the joy of, you know, every writer can say, right, I'm going to write this type of story, but because you're an individual, your viewpoint is totally different to somebody else, and that makes your story unique in that way. So yeah, I think that's why it's so much fun connecting with other writers and reading their work, because they give you something that you haven't thought of, or you thought, well, that's a really cool way of looking at it, you know. So that's why I enjoy writing and reading. That's my thing.
All right. So I got a couple more questions, and then we get to the one full stuff of plugging and see. Like I said, I'm not even trying to be funny. I just this is just me being,
It's cool.
yeah. But so here's the thing. I said this, like, what do you like to read? Like are you just reading your from your contemporaries at this point that you're in your writing clubs, or is it like, or do you read right now?
I've got a very eclectic reading. Um, I go Stephen King because I love him, but then I'll go to something like, I don't know if you know him, as Felix de Palma.
I do know of him. Yes, interesting.
I loved his books. Like they just got, he's just twisted things that you're expecting a story because you know the story, and he flips it on its head, and I really enjoyed that because that's what I do. And then I go to Kate Morton, which is like complete polar opposite of Stephen King, right? And everything in between.
Okay. So is there anything you won't read?
Hmm?
Is there anything you won't read?
I haven't found anything yet.
Okay, fair enough. Just I figured I'd ask that question.
Because if you limit what you read, you're limiting what you can write.
I agree. I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So, I always ask, there's always things that you just don't like either. You know what I mean? There's just
Yeah.
some things you just go, oh my God, why did I read that? Right. So,
I
right.
mean, you can say, right, I don't really want to read war stories,
Okay.
but then when you read one that's done in a specific way, you think that was really good. So why did I limit myself because I thought I didn't like them? So
Um,
then you just read them.
it's interesting. Stories about, like, I wouldn't call this a war story, but I really did like the take on war was Les Miserables. Believe it or not, of all things, just the
Okay.
idea of,
Yeah.
because he did spend a long time in that story talking about war, and
Mm-hmm.
he talked about, yeah, really, Jack Chris, I like it like this, yeah, I really do, right? So, um, but Les Miserables, like there's I what I enjoyed about that is, although I do think the way they wrote the stories back then in some ways, um, I do like singing. So yes, Joe, you got me.
Ah,
I'm gonna go, just for that. I'm gonna sing "It's a Small World" again, just for you, when you're
just for you.
here. But anyways,
Oh
but
dear.
that's that. I take myself very seriously, as you can tell on the show. But no, I think they're really interesting. Like, they really do say love and war are they all fair in love and war, and I understand. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you read the story, love and war aren't that. They're both crazy, and they're not that different in some ways. Yeah,
True. It's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mm.
we are strange, strange to learn. I think once you realize, like that's what it can be like, it definitely opens your eyes to the fact that, it definitely opens your eyes to the fact that, like, nothing should be off limits, especially as a reader. But I will confess,
Yeah.
I will confess, I like the erotica romance. I just can't do it. I've tried.
Right.
Right,
Well,
I've tried.
it depends if if it's written like 50 Shades was. Yeah, I got into about 3 chapters and had to throw it away because it was so badly written. But there are people that can do it well.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
No,
so
absolutely. No, actually, you know what? Honestly, I've interviewed a lot of romance authors. It takes great skill to actually make. I know someone that made a sock sexy. It actually was incredible. It's like, wow, I got a little wood on that, and I'm a little surprised. Right. And that sounds weird, but there's a skill to that. It really, like,
there is
there's not. It's not easy. It's not easy to write, like,
no.
or to write that. It really isn't. I say anything, Jag. It's the truth, right? But but it takes incredible, like, storytelling. Like, every genre has rules. Every genre has
Oh, sure.
storytelling, right? Um, and they have rules they follow, and if they do it really well, you can find joy literally in anything, and you
Mhm.
just have to be open to everything, if that makes sense.
Yes, you do. Yeah, because
Yeah,
if you're not, you're limiting yourself.
yeah, yeah.
So
And so, Jag Trask, whatever you're uncomfortable reading, whatever it is you're uncomfortable reading, challenge I have for you, even socks, especially. Yeah. I even will recommend that. That's the author I was going to recommend to you anyway. So when this is over, I'm going to recommend her to you, and you'll see what I mean. Right. Right. But
oh, funny.
yes, I love the reactions I got there. Anyways,
Oh dear, that's
so
funny.
hey, listen, I'm still playing with the streaming thing. This has been a lot of fun. You're welcome, Jag. That's what friends are for. Anyways, um,
Oh dear.
I had a lot of fun. Did you have a lot of fun?
I did have a lot of fun. Thank
Yeah,
you. It
yeah.
was cool. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. That last play was just really silly. I had way too much fun with that. Tormenting friends. I got to interview you and torment our friends at the same time. This was a beautiful day. Um, yes. Um,
Oh dear.
So you thought laughter's contagious once it starts, right? Once it starts, you can't stop it. So, anyways, I'm gonna say congratulations on your book in September. Do you have another one
Thank
coming
you.
up really shortly, or is that your last release?
That's my last one because I'm working on the detective series.
Okay,
So
no, it's cool.
that's the plan. Is that it will be the first book will be September 2021, and then I'll follow it 6 months later, and follow it
Okay,
6 months later.
okay.
That's the plan. Doesn't mean that
Yeah, I know how plans go. God laugh.
sometimes it's like no, it's gone off the block. No,
Well,
fine,
well,
okay.
well, well, how do you make God laugh? Tell me your plans. That's
Yeah.
literally how you do it, right? So, that's how it works. That's life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
let's talk about your last release, how people can find you, and
Okay.
we'll wrap up this, and then I'll wrap up this part one of the show right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So you can find me across all the social media. I'm everywhere. My blog is just myname.com, and it's got all my books, uh, all my social media links, interviews, everything on it. And my book, my last book was this one, which is the steampunk one.
okay, it's coming in the Commodore's gift.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's my last one, and that was fun. I enjoyed that.
yeah.
So that's steampunk.
Okay.
But the main protagonist is a woman because I believe in having strong women in some of my books. It's like, yeah, it's one of my
Yeah.
things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I post twice a week, which people think is a bit mad, but that's what I do. So my blog
I
is
podcast.
always live.
I podcast every day. I've lost my
Sweet.
mind. I've lost my mind. It's all good. It's just the way it goes. Um, but congratulations on your release. Good luck
Thank
with
you.
your book.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on my show. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, hey, this is what I do. That is a Mandy Eve Barnett made. Well, hey, what's between me and the sock is between me and the sock. Okay. Anyways, this is Mandy Eve Barnett. She
Thank
does
you.
stuff. She's awesome. It's a pleasure to have on the show. So anyway, tonight in 1 hour, I'm going to have yet another stream with another guest as well.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm never gonna let the sock thing down ever. I can tell this now. Anyways, guys, if you want to support this podcast, click the subscribe button on my stream if you haven't done so already. Twitch.tv/Josh and Podcast. I have a YouTube channel, Joshua Pantelaresco, and they're making me look like a composer here a little bit at the end here. I got my book Alice Zero and the Cloud Diver that came out this year. Lights Out is my next release. Will be coming out. It looks like February 1st.
Nice.
Yes, but and yeah, really soon for me. And so if you guys want to support me, that does be the way to do it. But beyond that, guys, thank you very much for coming to this stream. The next stream is going to be literally in under an hour. I've got another guest lined up. Today I double booked myself, but I decided I'm just gonna go with it. So if you guys want,
why not?
Yeah, going now, Jag Trash Shed, everybody else, thank you very much, and you guys have yourself a good night for now. I'll see you guys in an hour.